And clout fair under bloody ear-hole, knocked me off the stool and he said, "Don't shit me, you little prick."
This is when it gets juicy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I actually got a story to tell about the pub when we moved back here. The day I rolled back into town, Mum and Dad were away shopping, and I called in the pub, and I didn't know the publican at the time. His name was Jim Martin, and we got yakking to him. He seemed a nice old bloke, and he said, "What are you doing in Buchan?" And I said, "Oh, I've come back for a 21st, which was actually mine." He goes, "Oh, Jesus," he said, "not that bloody King fella, is it?" I said, "Yeah, it is actually." And he said, "Oh, he's bad news." You know, he gave me a hell of a rundown what a bastard I was. And he'd never even met me. So I said, "Oh, no worries, mate, nice to meet you." Away we went. Later on that night, we come back into town, and those days women drank in the lounge and blokes were in the bar. And Dad walked in and old Jim said, "Oh, Scotch for you, Teddy?" He said, "Yes, and a beer for me son, please, Jim." Well, poor old Jim just about dropped the tray of glasses. He was full of apologies, but it was too late. Arrived in Victoria, and the first bloke that was to greet me was our local copper at the time, and he pulled up at the general store and walked up, and I was very pleased to see him and said g'day to him, and all he said to me was, "The bloody hell are you doing here, mate? There's no work here. Piss off back to Queensland." Marie and I and the kids just live up the street, and this particular night there was a fella going off his head over the road and throwing stuff around, smashing windscreens and carrying on, and Marie said, "You better go over and see if that family's all right." So I snuck over behind a big box tree, and it was dark, and as I'm getting close to the tree I could see someone moving in the dark. And I spoke and I said, "Are you all right, mate?" And it was our local policeman at the time, and it frightened Christ to have him. And he goes, "You better go in and see if you can quieten this fella down." I said, "You go in and quieten him down, I don't have to." Anyway, we got a bit closer, and as we got closer, the bloke took to the local policeman with an axe. And it didn't get him, thank goodness. The axe went spinning over his head, and we sort of managed to quieten this fella down without too much drama, and took him back to the police station. And the story went on, and I got rewarded with a certificate of appreciation from the police. And Bob Haldane was the inspector here at the time, and he said to me, he was shaking hands and they're filming it, and he whispered quietly, he said, "Don't think this is going to win you any bloody favours, Kingy." But I always had a good rapport with the police. They were good blokes. Well, I ended up getting on all right with him. We used to drink underage at the pub. The publican at the time didn't get on well with the copper. So the copper was walking down the street and I'm sitting there half charged, and he grabbed a glass of raspberry and he said, "If that bastard walks in here, grab that glass of raspberry." So I grabbed the glass of raspberry and Bob walked in. And he walked past me, never said a word, and he went clout fair under bloody ear-hole, knocked me off the stool, and he said, "Don't shit me, you little prick."